Hello and welcome to another episode of Opening the Package Toy Collecting with Ian Brazee-Cannon. Today's kind of a special episode that I've been talking about in the last few, waiting for just the right thing to come in, and they did. We just got them here today, and so we'll go through them right here on camera. Now, the line itself is the retro alien figures being done by Funko via the new way reaction. Now, Funko is the company that's doing all those deformed characters, with the big funky baby-like heads, with all across the licensing board. You can find them in just about anything popular right now. Well, they basically went and they got the rights to take the old prototypes, 30-year-old prototypes, and make actual figures based on them for the Alien movie, the first Alien movie. Now, basically there were 5 figures made. See on the back there. This, all 5 of them. Now, the cool thing is, if you ordered all 5, they came in a box that had all 5 in them. See? One of each. So, you open the box, and of course, you have one alien. I got 2 of the aliens, so obviously we have 2 of him. So, we have Ash. Now, Ash is an interesting one, because if you look, the picture next to him is an alien, not the android himself, Ash. So, he's the only one in the series that does not have his picture next to it, which I thought was rather interesting. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Although I do like the fact that the alien's rather menacing, looking right at him as if he's ready to snap. Next out, we will pull Kane. Yes, our poor soul that gets infected with facehugger. That's, great picture of him looking over the egg. Now, this one I know is one they did some changes on. For the most part, these are exactly the way the prototypes were. On him, they did some changes to the helmet, because I think originally it wasn't supposed to be transparent. But if you look, you can see it's a real cool transparent. You can see his face. He does not come with a face hugger, which would have been really cool. But still, very cool looking figure. And next, we of course have our heroine of the show, Ripley. Decent looking figure. Good little action scene for her. Picture next to it. You can see she comes with a gun. Fairly simple. And finally, we have Dallas. Decent likeness, actually. And he also comes with a gun that looks like it's pretty much the same as Ripley's. Now, this is one time where I do not plan to open all of them. For one thing, the playability in itself, I kind of understand why this line probably didn't take off. Because if you look at these guys, there's not really much, 3 of them die. And even that, they themselves are not really action heroes. Ripley's the only one that really lives up to the idea of being an action hero in this case. So I kind of understand why this line probably didn't go very far. But, of course, the one we have to open will be one of him. Now, let's go with this guy right here. So this will be the alien I am to open. These are awesome cards, so I definitely, and you know me, I love packaging, so we're going to take good care of it. Be very gentle. There. Okay. So here is our alien figure. Now, the one toy that did get released from this line was the 12-inch version of this guy. And he's a famous toy out there. And it looks like they basically did the same thing with the transparent removable cap for him, which is apparently one of the main things that gets lost in the big guy, and I just dropped the one here. So I'm looking at it with the size and the fact that it doesn't really snap on or anything. It's probably going to be a common piece to lose with him. Now, we have the inner mouth extent. Let's get a good shot of that. Oh, that looks like he's attacking the doctor. Cool. Go after the Dalek now. So, that looks like his main action. Let's see. Double check. Look at the box. Evil brain glows. Oh, apparently he glows in the dark. And he has the inner mouth. That's about it. So, not much in the way of special features on him. So let's look at the detail. Decently detailed. I mean, remember, this is a 30-year-old mold. the sculpt is 30 years old. So, this is definitely decent quality for, what they were doing back then. I'll put the... Now, I don't like the fact that you have to have the cap off in order to activate the mouth. That's one thing that I wish they would have worked on. Because see, that only works if you take the cap off. So that's a bit disappointing. Other than that, I like the figure. Fun little retro guy. Tail moves, legs, arms. And it looks like what he's supposed to look like, and that's definitely a big plus. Personal opinion, I love they did this. I love that they went back, they got the prototypes. These are, outside of the fact they weren't made 30 years ago, these are vintage figures. The figures themselves feel vintage. The packaging is very much vintage. I mean, look at the pictures on the back. They don't, nowadays they aren't quite as cool. They do all sorts of weird stuff with that. Everything about these screams vintage figures. Vintage stuff I grew up with 30, 40 years ago. That's what's awesome. Funko itself is going to be doing quite a few different licensing rights now. And because Firefly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, classic Universal monsters, as well as modern horror movies, Goonies, Pulp Fiction, Back to the Future, but they got a whole bunch of the licensing rights. And the big difference, though, is instead of being real vintage, like I said, these guys are based off of the actual prototypes from 30 years ago. The figures they're going to do are vintage style, which basically means they're trying to sculpt as if they were vintage. I have mixed feelings because what I've seen online so far, the packaging looks cool. But the figures themselves look too cartoonish, too absurd. They're doing, for some reason, they're doing oversized, poorly sculpted heads. These are not oversized, poorly sculpted heads. The heads might be a little bigger, proportionate-wise, but you look at the sculpts, they're not poorly sculpted. They're actually decently detailed. I mean, so I don't know why they're doing some of the cartoonish stuff. I mean, I was looking forward to Firefly. These are Firefly action figures. How awesome. But the heads don't look right, certain things. It's like, instead of saying let's put some work into it, they said let the vintage, we can just be cheap and lazy with the sculpting. It doesn't work that way, people. Sorry, it really doesn't. Regretfully, we're not going to see too much more of this. Although the only one I know of that are like this that still might be out there would be Dark Crystal figures, which would be interesting to see. I don't know how big of a base there is for it, but once more, anything like this retro has a following more than likely, so they'd sell if they could go back and do it. But still, I'm recommending this line definitely, and in the future this year as things go, if I get a hold of the other stuff, I'll probably talk about that as well. Of course, what we've seen so far, this is to me good quality, so hopefully they'll keep that up. We can only hope. Love the fact the figures came out. They really do work for me. And in this case, action figures are becoming more and more a collector's market because the collectors, people like me that have a passion about the action figures, are the ones that are going to pick the stuff up. Kids are not doing it as much. And so it does get more to understanding your market. And this definitely, to me, it says they knew their market. A lot of the other stuff I've seen, I don't know. But once more, wait and see how it all goes.